Welcome to Everyday Math, Unit 1, Lesson 4, a measurement review. Our objective today is that you will rank 5 objects in order from smallest to largest using a ruler and a first, second, third language stem. So why are we learning about measurement? Well, there's a ton of reasons why you need to measure things. First of all, you can look at houses. And you need to measure the wood, you need to measure the windows, floors, walls, everything needs to get measured, or else you're going to have a crooked house, and you would not want to live there. Another reason is that you might want to measure yourself. You get bigger as you get older, and it's kind of fun to see how you grow over the years. A third reason for those of you who've ever been fishing is that you need to measure some fish sometimes to know if it's big enough to keep or if it's too small and you need to throw it back. So those are just 3 reasons why we need to measure things, but there are a ton more. So the first thing we need to know about when we're measuring things are the types of units. And in everyday math, and this year in 3rd grade, you're going to look at 2 different types of units. One is called the metric system, and the other is called the United States Customary System. Let's talk about the metric system first. When you talk about the metric system, you're usually thinking about things that can be measured. You can do distance, and when we talk about distance, we would talk about meters. We would talk about kilometers. That's a long distance. You can talk about centimeters. Centimeters, and really small measurements can be made in millimeters. Let's make that look a little bit nicer. When we talk about metric, we also talk about, so the things that we would measure in meters or kilometers, a lot of times when you run track, if you run around the track, you talk about running it in a 100-meter dash. Or you can talk about kilometers. Sometimes race cars use kilometers for the distance of the races. The other kind of measurement we talk about is United States customary. And these are going to be things like feet. We measure small things in feet. Really small things we can measure in inches. These are types of customary. For very long distances, we're going to be measuring in miles. So when you talk about miles, you would talk about how long it takes to get from one place to another. Maybe it's 60 miles away from Denver to Colorado Springs. If we're talking about inches, we might just be talking about things that are very small, like we measure the size of a strawberry and it's about an inch or maybe 2 inches. When we talk about feet, we're talking about the size of maybe a room. You could say that this classroom is probably about 25 feet long. So sometimes you might use meters, kilometers, centimeters, millimeters. Other times you're going to use feet, inches, or miles. So let's go ahead and move on and talk about how we measure things. Well, when we're measuring things, the first thing that you're going to need to use is a ruler. And so this right here is going to be an example of a ruler. You'll notice that a ruler has 2 sides. Now, this one doesn't say what it is, but you'll know that the longer measurements on each one, these are going to be your inches. So this side on the top is going to be customary. We know that because it's a little bit longer and these are inches. And then you'll see, it's kind of upside down right now, but we'll flip it over in just a second. This says metric right here, and you'll see that the metric side has the marks are much closer together. So that's one way that you can tell the difference between customary and metric. We're going to start measuring this line right here using the metric side. So we need to go ahead and flip over our ruler. So there it's flipped. So now you can see that the metric side is up. See how it says metric right here, and next to it, it says millimeter. So each one of these teeny tiny lines is 1 millimeter. Today we're just going to review how to set it up and line it up. So once we've got the metric side up, we're going to line it up with the line. The way that you do that is you don't put the very edge of the ruler against the line. You put the first mark, and this one is 0. You can tell because you can see here we have 4, 3, 2, 1, and even though it doesn't say 0, you know that 0 comes right before 1. So 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So you need to line up the 0 with the line on your measurement. Once you've done that, you go down to see which long line it measures to, because now we're measuring to the closest centimeter. So you can see we have 1 centimeter, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. You can see that this line right here lines up with the 12 centimeter mark. So we can say that this line is 12 centimeters. Let's go ahead and measure another line. So remember, our ruler right here, right now, the metric part is on the bottom. You see all the close lines, and the customary side is on top. So we need to go ahead and flip it over. And there it is flipped over. Now we're going to line up the 0. So you can see that right here, the 0 is lined up. Here's our 0 line. And it's lined up with the edge of here. Now if we count over, let's see how many we have. We're going to go all the way to the end and then mark it right here. We can see that it's at 7 centimeters. That's going to be how you measure anything. Start at 0 and then go to the furthest line. All right, let's talk about measuring things in customary. This time, when we use a ruler and we're measuring in customary, we're typically going to be measuring in inches. Okay, so this time we have the ruler right side up. We're going to do the same thing. We need to find the 0. Now, over here is where a lot of people start measuring, but that is wrong. Very wrong. I'm going to even put it in red because I want you to know that is not where we line up. This right here is the line where we're going to line it up. We have 4, 3, 2, 1. This would be the 0 line. Line it up with the 0. What do we line it up with? Line it up with the... Good. Okay. So go ahead and I'm going to line up my ruler right there. You can see that now my line, the 0 is lined up here. So we're going to go over to the other end. And what is it lined up with? We know that it's lined up with the 8, and each mark is an inch. So we know that this line is 8 inches. And this is IN is the abbreviation for inches. So we know this line is 8 inches long. Let's do another one. Okay, we're going to line up the 0. Then we're going to see how many inches it is. We know this one is going to be 1, 2, 3 inches. So when we measured it, we lined up our 0, and we know that it is 3 inches. See how we did that? Pretty easy. All right, so now you're going to do some practice. What I would like you to do at home is to try measuring 2 small objects in your house or in the classroom. Measure them in both inches and centimeters. You will have a ruler that you have at home, or if you need one, you can borrow one from school and take it home. So make sure that you've measured something and bring back the measurements with you tomorrow. Great job. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.